I died on that stormy night. Sophia Taylor pushed me away with her own hands. On the rooftop of the tall building, thunder and lightning raged. The moment I fell, I heard her crying, "Etan, I'm sorry." But she still pushed me. For Alexander Carter, for the man who never looked at her properly. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting in the company's conference room. A $50 million investment contract lay on the table. "Ethan, this is the project proposal sent over from Sophia. She said she'll agree to be your girlfriend as long as you invest." Assistant Michael Brown stood respectfully to the side. I looked at that familiar project proposal, my heart pounding wildly. This is the investment project from 3 years ago. I was reborn, back to the day Sophia first asked me. In my previous life, I signed a contract without hesitation. Not because the project was particularly good, but because Sophia was finally willing to be with me. Even if it was fake. Her family was burdened with enormous debts, and her father's company was on the brink of bankruptcy. $50 million was nothing to me. But to her, it was a life-saving straw. But I knew that the one she loved in her heart was Alexander. That genius who commanded the investment world. I was just her backup, a wealthy backup. "Mr. Ethan, please look over this contract," Michael asked cautiously. I picked up the fountain pen and wrote 2 words on the last page of the contract. "Refuse." Michael was stunned. The whole company knew that Ethan would do anything for Sophia. Don't say $50 million. Even $500 million he would throw away without batting an eye. "Mr. Ethan, are you sure? This is Miss Sophia's personal." "Sure." I stood up and walked toward the floor-to-ceiling window. Outside was a bustling commercial district with cars and people streaming by. 3 years later, Sophia was the one who pushed me off the rooftop here. I turned and looked at Michael. "Tell Sophia to go find Alexander." Michael stammered, but Mr. Alexander explicitly rejected her project. That's her problem. My voice was as cold as ice. Michael had never seen me like this before. Frightened, he hurriedly nodded. Yes, I replied Miss Sophia right away. He hurried out holding the contract. I stood alone in the office, my feelings a jumble. In my previous life, I would have been willing to lose everything for Sophia. She wanted whatever I gave her. She wanted to see Alexander. So I arranged a dinner. She wanted to work at Alexander's company. So I pulled strings to get her in the back door. Even when she became pregnant with Alexander's child, I was willing to help raise it for her. But in the end, she still chose Alexander. Even if Alexander didn't want her at all. The phone rang. It was Sophia. "Ethan, are you crazy? Why did you refuse to invest?" Her voice was urgent, laced with sobs. I leaned back in the chair and closed my eyes. "Sophia, let's break up." Silence fell instantly on the other end of the line. After a long while, she finally spoke. "What did you say?" I said, "Let's break up." "Ethan, are you sick? My dad's company is about to go bankrupt. Only you can save us. Find Alexander." Alexander already refused. "Then that's your problem." I repeated the words I had just said to Michael. Sophia began to cry on the phone. "Ethan, you can't do this to me. You said you'd protect me for life." "Yes, I did. In my past life, I said it countless times. But the result of protecting you was that you pushed me down the stairs with your own hands. Sophia, from today on, you and I have nothing to do with each other." I hung up the phone. The phone rang immediately again. It was still Sophia. I turned the phone off. In the afternoon, Sophia appeared at the door of my office. She was wearing a white dress, her eyes swollen and red, looking pitiful and vulnerable. When I used to see her like that, I wanted nothing more than to lay the whole world at her feet. Now I only felt disgusted. "Ethan, I know I was wrong. Please don't be angry, okay?" She walked up to me, trying to take my hand. I avoided it. "Sophia, you did nothing wrong. The one at fault is me. I shouldn't have deluded myself into thinking I could buy love with money. Now I've come to understand." Sophia stood there stunned, unable to believe I would say something like that. "Ethan, is something wrong? Tell me. Let's solve it together, okay?" Her voice was very gentle, tears in her eyes. If it were my past life self, I would have softened. But I have already seen through her true nature. Her current gentleness is nothing more than because she needs my money. I haven't had any problems. I just don't want to be a patsy anymore. I stood up, walked around her, and headed for the door. "Sophia, don't come looking for me again. I've already instructed the finance department to freeze all cards and accounts under your name. Those were all things I gave you before. Now I'm taking them back. Sophia's face went instantly pale. For the past 3 years, all her living expenses, shopping bills, and even her household day-to-day costs were being paid by me. If she suddenly lost all of that, she simply couldn't maintain her current lifestyle. "Ethan, you can't do this." She chased after me and grabbed my arm. "My father's company is really about to collapse. If you don't help me, our whole family will be ruined." I turned to look at her, my eyes devoid of any emotion. "Sophia, you love Alexander, not me. If you don't love me, why should I be the one to sacrifice for you? Go find the one you love. Let him come and save you." After saying that, I shook off her hand and left without looking back. Sophia's sobs came from behind, hoarse and desperate. But my heart was like still water. I had seen Sophia's tears too many times. In my previous life, every time she cried, I would soften and give in. Not this time. I drove home and found Alexander sitting in the living room. He was sitting with one leg crossed over the other, leisurely sipping tea. When he saw me come in, he smiled. "Ethan, long time no see." I sat down opposite him, my expression calm. "Alexander, what are you doing here?" "Of course it's about Sophia." He put down his teacup, a mocking smile on his face. "I hear you turned down her investment proposal? That's not like you." I said nothing, just watched him silently. Alexander continued. "Sophia came to see me earlier, crying her eyes out. She said you've changed and no longer love her. Ethan, you aren't playing some kind of hot and cold game with me, are you?" I snorted. "Alexander, you think far too highly of yourself. I rejected Sophia. It's got nothing to do with you." Alexander's expression shifted slightly. "Then why did you suddenly decide you didn't want her anymore?" "Because I realized something." I leaned back on the sofa, my tone indifferent. "Why should I throw myself at someone when a woman loves another? If Sophia loves you, then her problems should be yours to solve." Alexander's expression darkened. "Ethan, you know my situation. I can't give up my current fiancée for Sophia." "Yes, I know." Alexander's fiancée is the daughter of a political official. This marriage is crucial to his career, so he can only treat Sophia as a secret lover. In my past life, it was precisely because I couldn't stand it that I willingly took over. Now I don't want to be the sucker anymore. That is your choice. I stood up and gave the order for them to leave. "Alexander, if there's nothing else, please leave." Alexander also stood up and walked over to me. "Ethan, if something really happens to Sophia, you will regret it. She can only rely on you right now." I stared straight into his eyes. "Alexander, do you think I would care? If you truly care about Sophia, then marry her. If you don't want to marry her, then don't pretend to beg for her here." Alexander's face went completely dark. He shot me a furious glare and turned to leave. Before he left, he tossed out one sentence. "Ethan, you'll regret this." I shut the door and returned to the living room. There were a dozen missed calls on my phone, all from Sophia, and countless text messages, each one pleading, begging me to change my mind. I deleted them all, then blocked her. The next day at work, Michael walked into the office looking nervous. "Mr. Ethan, Miss Sophia is downstairs. She says she won't leave until she sees you." I didn't even look up and kept staring at the computer screen. "Have the security guard drive her away," Michael said awkwardly. "But Miss Sophia said that if you don't see her, she'll jump off the building." I finally lifted my head, a hint of coldness flashing in my eyes. "Jump off the building? Then let her jump." Michael stared at me in shock, as if he didn't recognize me. The old Ethan wouldn't just let Sophia jump. If she said she felt unwell, he'd drop everything at once to comfort her. "Mr. Ethan, go inform security. If Sophia really jumps, remember to call the police." My voice was as cold as ice. "Also, starting today, Sophia is blacklisted from the company. She must not set foot in this building." Michael nodded tremblingly and hurried away. An hour later, the security department came to report. Sophia didn't jump off the building. She left in tears. I continued working, my heart completely unmoved. In my past life, I was held captive by her tears and threats for 3 years. This time I won't be fooled again. In the afternoon, my mother called. "Ethan, Sophia just came to the house. She cried and told me you broke up and said she was going to jump off a building to kill herself." I rubbed my temples. "Sophia is planning to go after my family." "Mom, Sophia and I have broken up." "What? Why? Weren't you two doing well?" My mother's voice was very anxious. "She has always liked Sophia, thinking she was gentle and sensible, a good daughter-in-law. Mom, matters of the heart are complicated. In short, I won't marry Sophia. Ethan, are you seeing another woman on the side? I smiled helplessly. Mom, there's no other woman. I just figured out Sophia isn't right for me. My mother was silent on the phone for a moment. Sophia said her family is in trouble and needs your help. Ethan, whether you break up or not, helping a friend is the right thing to do. I had long expected Sophia would say that. Mom, Sophia has someone she loves. Let that person help her. I'm not a philanthropist. I have no obligation to help a woman who doesn't love me. Mother seemed to sense my determination. Fine, this is something for you young people to handle. I won't interfere. But Ethan, you must be kind. After hanging up, I watched the sunset outside the window. Kind? Wasn't I kind enough in my past life? Help Sophia pay off her debts, help her find a job, even help her raise someone else's child. And the final result? Pushed down the stairs by her own hand. Kindness must be given to the right people. Being kind to the wrong person is cruelty to yourself. That night, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Sophia's father, Robert Taylor. Ethan, this is Sophia's dad. Can we meet? I looked at the time. It was already 9 o'clock at night. Mr. Robert, whatever it is, say it over the phone. Robert's voice sounded very tired. Ethan, I know you and Sophia broke up. I know she was wrong, but we really had nowhere else to turn. The company's debts are due soon. If we can't pay them, I'll go to prison. Sophia is my only daughter. If I go to jail, what will happen to her as a girl? Robert's voice was a little choked. In my past life, when I heard these words, I immediately softened. But now I only want to say one thing. What does it have to do with me? Mr. Robert, I'm sorry. I can't help you. Ethan, Robert's voice suddenly became agitated. You can't do this. Sophia has sacrificed so much for you. She turned down so many excellent men just to be with you. Now that we're in trouble, you turn your face away and disown me. I sneered. Sophia made sacrifices for me? Refuse an excellent boy? The biggest joke. She never loved me. She only needed my money. As for those so-called outstanding boys, which one can compare to Alexander? Mr. Robert, I advise you to think of other options. For example, get a bank loan or find other investors. After I finished speaking, I hung up the phone. Robert hadn't given up. Early the next morning, he was waiting at the company entrance. He looked far more haggard, with a scruffy beard and despairing eyes. When he saw me get out of the car, he rushed over at once. Ethan, please, I beg you, save us. He actually knelt down in front of all the employees. The people around stopped and gathered to watch, pointing and whispering. I looked at him with a blank expression. Mr. Robert, please get up. I won't get up. If you don't agree to help me, I'll keep kneeling. Robert's voice was loud, tears and snot streaming down together. I signaled the security guard to come over, but Robert clung tightly to my leg. Ethan, I gave you my daughter. How can you treat us like this? Sophia said that as long as you're willing to help us, she'll do whatever you say. The murmurs around grew louder. Isn't that the owner of the Taylor family? Why is he kneeling to someone? I heard his company is going bankrupt. No wonder he looks so pathetic. Mr. Ethan is so cold-blooded, he won't even help his future father-in-law. I listened to these comments with no ripples in my heart. In my previous life, I was defeated by this kind of moral coercion. But not this time. Mr. Robert, I'll say this one last time. Please leave, or I'll call the police. Robert looked up, his eyes full of resentment. Ethan, you'll pay for this. If you're so heartless and unjust, you'll get your comeuppance sooner or later. I turned and walked into the company, leaving him outside to keep swearing. At 10 in the morning, Michael rushed into the office in a panic. Mr. Ethan, something's happened. Robert drank pesticide downstairs. The pen in my hand stopped. What? Robert drank pesticide downstairs to commit suicide. He's been taken to the hospital now. Miss Sophia is here too. She said if Mr. Robert dies, she'll come after you. I slowly put down the fountain pen, my expression still calm. Oh, I see. Michael's eyes widened. Mr. Ethan, won't you go to the hospital to take a look? Why go? I asked in return. What does Robert's life or death have to do with me? Michael was so shocked he couldn't speak. In the afternoon, a video began circulating online. A clip of Robert kneeling at the company entrance begging me, while I coldly refused, was filmed and posted online. The headline read, cold-blooded rich second generation refuses to rescue his future father-in-law, drives him to drink pesticide, and commits suicide. The comments section was full of insults. So cold-blooded. How can there be people like this? She gave you her daughter, and you won't even help with this little thing. As expected, rich people have no conscience. The owner of the Taylor family is so pitiful to run into such an ungrateful wretch. I looked at those comments, and a faint cold smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. In my previous life, I was crushed by this kind of public opinion pressure. Now I no longer care. That night, Sophia called me. She changed her number, so she wasn't blocked. Ethan, my dad is still in the recovery room. Her voice was very calm. So calm it was frightening. The doctor says the poisoning is too severe. He might not make it. I didn't say anything. Ethan, if my dad dies, I'll make you pay. I will make you regret it for the rest of your life in my own way. After she finished speaking, she hung up the phone. I blocked this number too. The next day, the news of Robert's death came through. Resuscitation was unsuccessful, pronounced dead at the scene. The online denunciations grew even more intense. Some even began doxing my personal information. My photo, home address, and company address were all exposed. There are still organizations planning to protest outside the company's entrance. The board of directors held an emergency meeting. Several veteran shareholders looked very grim. Ethan, this matter has a terribly bad impact. The company's stock price has already begun to fall. You must find a way to solve it. I sat in the main seat, my expression still calm. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my private matter and should not affect the company's operations. Private matter? A shareholder slammed the table in excitement. Now the whole internet is criticizing you, saying you're cold and heartless. How could this not affect the company? I suggest you immediately apologize to the Taylor family and offer compensation. I looked at him coldly. An apology? Compensation? What does Robert's death have to do with me? He was the one who chose to drink pesticide, not because I forced him. The conference room was deathly silent. No one could believe I would say such a thing. Ethan, are you crazy? Another shareholder said in a trembling voice. No matter what, Robert did die because of you. You speak like that. It's too cold-blooded. I stood up and scanned everyone present. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll say it again. Robert's death has nothing to do with me. I'm under no obligation to be responsible for his choices. If anyone can't accept that, they can choose to withdraw their shares. After saying that, I left the conference room. A murmur of discussion came from behind me, but I could no longer make out what was being said. Back in the office, Michael reported with trembling. Mr. Ethan, Miss Sophia was here a while ago. She said tomorrow is Mr. Robert's funeral and hopes you can attend. I didn't even look up. Tell her I won't go. Michael swallowed. She also said that if you don't go, she'll reveal some of your secrets in front of everyone at the funeral. I finally lifted my head, a flash of murderous intent passing through my eyes. What secret did she mention? Well, she didn't say it outright. I pondered for a moment. How could Sophia know any of my secrets? Unless she was reborn too. At the thought, my heart began to race. If Sophia had been reborn as well, then what she knew wouldn't be limited to things from this life. She knew how good I had been to her in my previous life. She also knew all of my vulnerabilities from that life. More importantly, she knew how things would end 3 years later. I picked up the phone and dialed a number. Hey, it's me. Help me check all of Sophia's recent activities. Include who she met and what she said. The more detailed, the better. After hanging up, I leaned back in chair. If Sophia really had been reborn, things just got interesting. A battle between two people who were reborn. Let's see who can laugh last. Sophia's funeral was held at the cemetery in the south of the city. I didn't go, but I sent someone to watch from afar. Sophia wore a black mourning dress, her face haggard. She knelt in front of her father's coffin for an entire day. She didn't cry, didn't make a scene. She just quietly knelt. This calmness was more frightening than crying. After the funeral, she stood up and smiled at the camera in the distance. That smile sent a chill down my spine. She knew I was watching her. This confirmed my suspicion even more. She had been reborn too. That night, Sophia appeared at my doorstep. She was still wearing that mourning attire, looking especially eerie under the moonlight. When she saw me open the door, she gave a faint smile. Ethan, we need to talk. I stepped aside to let her in. We sat facing each other in the living room. Sophia, I'm curious. What do you want to talk to me about? She took a photo out of her bag and placed it on the coffee table. The photo shows me standing on the edge of the rooftop. The background, a stormy night sky filled with thunder and rain. This was the night I died. What do you think of this photo? Sophia's voice was soft, but each word stabbed into my heart like a knife. I forced myself to stay calm. I don't understand what you mean. Sophia laughed, a very strange laugh. Ethan, playing dumb is pointless. We all were reborn, weren't we? Her words confirmed my suspicions, but I still didn't admit it. Sophia, what are you talking about? Reborn? You've been reading too many novels. Sophia shook her head, then took out several more photos. They were all evidence of how I had treated her well in my past life. Transfer records of helping her pay off debts, the contract for buying her a house, and even the organ donation form I had signed. How do you explain these? Dangerous light flashed in her eyes. Ethan, you were so good to me in our previous life. Why did you suddenly change in this one? Besides rebirth, I can't think of any other explanation. I looked at those photos, my feelings a tangle. All of these are evidence from my past life. How could she possibly have them? Unless she really was reborn. Sophia, even if what you say is true, so what? I finally stopped denying it. In my previous life, I treated you well, and what did I get? You were the one who pushed me down the stairs with your own hands. Sophia's expression changed in an instant. Do you remember that night? Of course I remember. I stood up and walked to the window. With thunder and rain raging, there were only the two of us on the rooftop. You chose Alexander and pushed me away. Sophia, do you think I will make the same mistake again? Sophia was silent for a long time. Ethan, I was in a lot of pain that night too. But Alexander threatened me, saying that if I didn't choose him, he would destroy your company. I don't want to see you have nothing. I turned around and looked at her coldly. So, you pushed me down the stairs? Sophia, do you think that reason can convince me? Sophia bit her lip, tears welling in her eyes. I know I was wrong, but it was a choice made in the heat of the moment. Ethan, give me a chance. Let me make it right, please. This life, I will love you well and never let you get hurt again. I listened to her words, feeling nothing but scorn. In my previous life, she said similar things. So what happened? She turned and threw herself into Alexander's arms. Sophia, do you think I would believe you again? I sat down again, my expression indifferent. The debts of my past life will be settled slowly in this one. Sophia's face turned pale. How do you intend to settle them? It's simple. I picked up the photos on the coffee table and tore them apart one by one. What you owed me in your past life, you'll pay me back tenfold in this one. Starting today, I will make you taste every bit of the pain I endured in my past life. Sophia stood up trembling. Ethan, you've changed. The you from my past life was so gentle, so kind. The you now makes me feel afraid. I smiled a cold smile. Sophia, it was you who turned me into this with your own hands. What did the kindness and gentleness of my past life get me? It got me death. This life, I will not make the same mistake again. Sophia looked at me, and the tears in her eyes finally began to fall. Ethan, can we start over? Forget the grievances of our past life and fall in love again. I shook my head. Impossible. Sophia, some things can't be undone once they're done. You killed me once. I will definitely avenge that grudge. Sophia looked at me in despair. What about my father's death? Are you going to take revenge for that too? He only wanted to save his company. What's wrong with that? I looked at her coldly. Sophia, your father's death was caused by you. If you hadn't come to beg me, he wouldn't have ended up like that. So his death must also be counted on your head. Sophia completely collapsed. She knelt on the floor, clutching my leg and crying. Ethan, I was wrong. I truly was wrong. Please forgive me. I'll do anything to make it up to you. I looked down at her, feeling not an ounce of pity. Sophia, it's too late to beg for mercy now. The game is only just beginning. The next day, I had someone track down Alexander's whereabouts. He was at the mall with his fiancée, looking very much in love. I had someone take these photos and then sent them to Sophia. Sophia called back quickly. Ethan, what do you mean? Nothing special. Just wanted you to see what the person you love is doing. My voice was very calm. Alexander is now enjoying a sweet life with his fiancée, and you are suffering over your father's death. Sophia, do you think this is fair? Sophia's choke sobs came through on the other end of the line. What do you want? It's simple. I want you to go find Alexander and tell his fiancée the truth. Tell her that Alexander has been seeing other women. Sophia was silent for a long time. Ethan, doing this will ruin Alexander's. I know, I sneered. Sophia, in your past life you ruined me for Alexander. This time, it's my turn to destroy him. I'll give you 3 days to think about it. If you don't go, I'll expose some of your secrets. After hanging up, I continued handling my work. But there was an indescribable sense of pleasure in my heart. In the previous life, Alexander used Sophia's feelings for him to manipulate her into doing many things. He even went so far as to threaten her to push me down the stairs. Now, it was time to let him taste what betrayal felt like. 3 days later, Sophia didn't contact me, but my people reported that she went to Alexander's company. She didn't go in, though. She lingered at the entrance for a long time and then left. It seems she still couldn't bring herself to do it. If that's the case, I'll give her a hand. I had someone forge some intimate photos of Alexander and Sophia, then anonymously sent them to Alexander's fiancée. The effect was immediate. The next day, Alexander's fiancée stormed into Sophia's residence with a group of people. My people filmed the whole process. Alexander's fiancée was called Emily Carter, a very domineering woman. She pointed at Sophia and spat insults. You are that seductress? Seduce my fiancé? Sophia had been slapped several times. Her face was badly swollen. But she didn't fight back. She just kept apologizing. I'm sorry, I was wrong. The angrier Emily got, the more furious she became. If apologies were useful, why would we need the police? Sisters, teach her a brutal lesson. Several women stepped forward, beating and berating Sophia. Sophia curled up in the corner, enduring their abuse. I watched the video with no sympathy in my heart. Wasn't Sophia just as cold to me in my past life? When Alexander's men beat me half to death, she stood by and watched with indifferent eyes. Now it's her turn to suffer. That night, Sophia dragged her battered body to my house. Her face was swollen like a pig's, and her clothes had been torn to shreds. Ethan, you did this, didn't you? Her voice was weak, but the hatred in her eyes was intense. I poured a cup of tea and sipped it slowly. Sophia, what are you talking about? Those photos are fake. You forged them. Alexander never touched me. I pretended to be surprised. Is that so? Then maybe I was mistaken. But that's not important. What's important is that Emily believed it. Sophia glared at me in anger. Ethan, you are despicable. Despicable. I put down a teacup and looked at her coldly. Sophia, what you did in your past life was 10,000 times more despicable than this. This is only the beginning. There's more exciting stuff to come. Sophia trembled as she pointed at me. You'll get your just desserts. Well, I stood up and walked to her. Sophia, in my previous life I was so kind. Didn't I still meet my doom? Pushed down the stairs by your own hand and killed. If both good and evil bring no reward, then why shouldn't I choose to be an evil person? Sophia was stunned by my words. She looked at me as if she were looking at a stranger. Ethan, you've really changed. You've changed into someone I don't even recognize. I smiled. Sophia, people do change, especially those who have died once. Haven't you changed too? In your past life you were so proud, and now you're the one kneeling and begging. Sophia bit her lip, tears welling and flowing down her face again. Ethan, what's the point of us continuing to fight like this? It will only make both of us suffer. Can we just stop here? I shook my head. No, Sophia, this game has only just begun. I'm going to make you feel all the pain I went through in my past life. Then I'll destroy you with my own hands, just like you destroyed me in my past life. Sophia looked at me in despair, then turned and walked away. When she reached the door, she suddenly turned back. Ethan, remember what I said today. One day, you will pay for this. After speaking, she pushed the door and left. I watched her retreating back, a wave of satisfaction swelling in my chest. Revenge feels really good. The humiliation and pain of my past life can finally be repaid, little by little. Alexander and Emily's engagement was called off. The matter caused quite a stir in high society. The Wong family publicly announced that Alexander's character was questionable and that he was unworthy of becoming their son-in-law. Alexander's career was dealt a heavy blow, with several important cooperative projects being canceled. He became frantic, desperately asking everyone for help. But no one was willing to help a man who had betrayed his fiancée. I met him at the club. Alexander looked much more haggard, his eyes full of bloodshot veins. He rushed over as soon as he saw me. "Ethan, is this your doing?" I was sipping red wine, not even looking up. "Alexander, what are you talking about? Those photos were forged by you, weren't they?" Alexander grabbed my collar excitedly. "Sophia never betrayed Emily." I slowly pushed his hand away. "Alexander, even if the photos are fake, your feelings for Sophia are real, right? You dare tell me you never wanted her?" Alexander's expression froze. See, you don't even dare deny it." I stood up and straightened my clothes. "Alexander, Emily is just more sensitive. She discovered the truth early. Even without those photos, you two would have broken up sooner or later." Alexander glared at me angrily. "Ethan, you ruined me." "Me?" I sneered. "Alexander, didn't you ruin me in your past life too? Now we're even." Alexander's expression changed instantly. "What are you talking about? A previous life?" I realized I had let something slip, but it didn't matter. After all, Alexander wasn't reborn. He wouldn't understand. "Nothing, I was just joking." I pat his shoulder. "Alexander, enjoy the taste of defeat. This is the price of betrayal." After speaking, I left the club. Alexander's curses came from behind me, but I could no longer make them out. Back home, I received a call from Sophia. "Ethan, Alexander is looking for me." Her voice was very calm. So calm was unsettling. "He said he would join me in dealing with you." I sat on the couch, listening with keen interest. And then, I agreed. Sophia's words surprised me a little. "Sophia, are you sure you want to be my enemy?" "Ethan, you forced me." Her voice turned cold. "Since you want to play a game, I'll play it with you to the end. But this time, I won't let you win again." I smiled. "Fine, I'll be waiting to see what tricks you have." "Sophia, I hope you won't disappoint me." After hanging up, I fell in a deep thought. Sophia and Alexander teaming up is indeed a problem, but I'm not afraid. In my previous life, I was too merciful to them. This time, I will show them true cruelty. The next day, I received an unexpected piece of news. Someone had reported my company for financial fraud. The regulatory authorities had already begun an investigation. This was definitely the doing of Sophia and Alexander. They wanted to go through official channels to go after me, but they underestimated my capabilities. I immediately activated the emergency contingency plan. All the financial records are genuine and can withstand any investigation. And I also have a powerful legal team. 3 days later, the investigation results came out. There was nothing wrong with my company. Instead, the whistleblower had provided false information. The regulatory authorities were very angry about this and decided to hold the whistleblower accountable. Soon, Alexander was summoned. It turned out that he had reported it under his real name. Now it was even worse. Not only had the report failed, he also had to bear legal responsibility. Alexander's company was hit with added complications, and its stock plummeted. I watched the news in the office, feeling cheerful. Sophia called soon. "Ethan, you won this round. But the game isn't over yet." I leaned back in the chair. "Sophia, use whatever tricks you've got left. I'll take them all." Sophia was silent for a moment. "Ethan, I know what you want. You want me to kneel and beg you, like you begged me in my past life." I did not deny it. "Will you kneel?" "Yes." Sophia's answer surprised me. "But not now. I will choose the right moment in the right place. By then, I'll kneel in a way that satisfies you." Her words made me uneasy. Sophia was not someone who gave up easily. For her to say that now, she must have some scheme. "Sophia, what exactly are you trying to do?" "You'll find out soon enough." After she finished speaking, she hung up the phone. I immediately ordered tighter surveillance on Sophia. No matter what she intended to do, I had to know in advance. But over the next few days, Sophia behaved very quietly. She didn't seek out Alexander again, nor did she do anything unusual, as if she had given up completely. That calm made me even more uneasy. Before a storm arrives, things are often at their quietest. A week later, I knew what Sophia was plotting. She's pregnant, and publicly claims the child is mine. The news exploded online like a bomb. A wealthy heir seduces and abandons, drives his girlfriend's father to death, and then abandons his pregnant girlfriend. Scumbag Ethan hits a new low, even not sparing a pregnant woman. Sophia, heavily pregnant, is thrown out of the house. The rich heir boyfriend is ruthlessly cold. The online backlash was even more furious than last time. My photos, address, and company information were doxed again. Some people even began organizing offline protests. I watched these news reports and couldn't help but admire Sophia's tactics. She knew which kinds of people garnered the most sympathy in today's society. A woman who'd lost her father and was pregnant would undoubtedly provoke the greatest sympathy. And as a second-generation rich kid, I naturally became the target of everyone's arrows. But Sophia underestimated my bottom line. I immediately held a press conference. Dear members of the press, I need to clarify some facts. I stand on the stage, my expression serious. First, Sophia is indeed pregnant, but the child is not mine. We broke up 3 months ago and have had no physical contact since. Second, I am willing to cooperate with a paternity test to prove my innocence. The reporters in the audience began to whisper among themselves. A reporter raised his hand to ask a question. Mr. Ethan, do you have any evidence to prove the child isn't yours? I signaled my assistant to play the video. Sophia and Alexander appeared on the hotel surveillance footage on the big screen. The timestamp showed it was 2 months ago. Their behavior was very suggestive. It was clear something had happened between them. The hall erupted in a commotion. This is the hotel surveillance footage, which can prove that Sophia had an intimate relationship with Alexander after we broke up. Judging by the timing of the pregnancy, the father of the child is most likely Alexander. The reporters began firing off questions crazily. Then why did you refuse to help the Taylor family? Even if they're not dating, shouldn't you help a friend? I looked coldly at the reporter who asked the question. Everyone, I like to ask a question. If your ex-girlfriend betrayed you, had a child with someone else, and expects you to raise it, would you agree? If her father morally blackmailed you, kneeling at your company's entrance to force you to comply, would you give in? If she and her new boyfriend team up against you, trying to destroy your career, would you still help her? The venue fell silent. Many reporters began to rethink the question. Indeed, if you put yourself in that position, few people would be willing to be the patsy. Finally, what I want to say is that Mr. Roberts' death is indeed regrettable, but he chose an extreme way to solve his problems. The responsibility does not lie with me. I have no obligation to pay for other people's wrong choices. After the press conference ended, public opinion began to shift. Many people began to sympathize with what happened to me. So that's how it is. Ethan is the real victim. Sophia is disgusting. She's pregnant with someone else's child and still wants her ex to take responsibility. Alexander is such a scumbag. He seduced her and abandoned her, yet wants Ethan to take the blame. The online sentiment completely changed. Sophia went from being a victim to the target of public condemnation. She called soon after, "Ethan, you're too cruel." Her voice was trembling. Right now, the whole internet is attacking me. I don't even dare to leave the house. I sat in the office, feeling pleased. Sophia, this is what happens when you go against me. You think getting pregnant is enough to beat me? How naive. Sophia began to cry. Ethan, the child in my womb is innocent. If you do this, you'll kill him. I sneered. Sophia, the child is innocent, but you are not. You chose to use the child as a weapon against me, so you must bear the consequences. Besides, the child's father is Alexander. It has nothing to do with me. Sophia said desperately, "Ethan, I know you hate me, but I'm begging you to spare my child. He didn't do anything wrong. I thought of the child from my previous life, the child I loved as if you're my own son. In the end, he ran me over with his car. Sophia, in the previous life, the child you were carrying was also Alexander's. Didn't I raise him? And what was the result? When he grew up, he ran me over with a car and sent me to the hospital. This is the reward my kindness bought me." Sophia was so shocked she was speechless. So in this life, I won't make the same mistake again. Your child, let Alexander raise them. It has nothing to do with me. After hanging up, I continued handling my work. Sophia wanted to use the child to blackmail me, but she didn't know that the child meant nothing to me. One could even say I would rather he never be born. Sophia's counterattack came faster than I had anticipated. The next day, she showed up downstairs at my company's building with a group of reporters. Her belly was growing more and more obvious, and she looked disheveled. "Everyone, I need to clarify some facts." She stood on the steps, her voice trembling but resolute. "Ethan said the child isn't his, but I have evidence proving he's lying." She took out a voice recorder. "This is the recording from the last time we met." The recording began to play. My and Sophia's voices came from inside. But the content was completely different from the real conversation that night. Instead, it was me admitting the child was mine and telling Sophia to abort the baby. Sophia, you have to terminate this pregnancy. I won't let him be born. I already have a new girlfriend. There's no way I'll ruin my future for you two. If you dare give birth, I'll make sure you and your son can't stay in this city. Although those words were in my voice, they were definitely not spoken by me. Sophia forged the recording, and the technique was so skillful that there was hardly any flaw to detect. After listening to the recording, the reporters grew excited again. This is going too far. She actually wanted a pregnant woman to abort her child. Is that even human? It's simply bestial. Ethan's character has been completely exposed. I watched the live stream in the office, a surge of anger welling up inside me. Sophia's move was indeed vicious. She forged a recording to frame me, and the content she chose was highly inflammatory. Now, to clear this up, I have to prove the recording is fake. But that requires professional technical analysis, which will take at least a few days. And in those few days, my reputation will be completely destroyed. I immediately went downstairs and walked up to Sophia. Sophia, this recording is fake. I know. Sophia looked at me, her eyes showing no guilt. Ethan, I don't know what you're talking about. This is a real recording. A professional agency can verify it. I looked at her coldly. Sophia, are you really going to be this ruthless? You forced me. Her voice was very cold. Ethan, don't you like playing games? Now I'll make the rules. Either you publicly admit the child is yours and take responsibility, or I'll ruin your reputation completely. I looked at her and suddenly smiled. Sophia, do you think that can threaten me? I told you, I'd rather have my reputation ruined than admit this child isn't mine. Sophia's expression froze. She hadn't expected me to be so resolute. Ethan, do you really not care about your reputation? Don't care about the company's stock price? Don't care about what family and friends think? I shook my head. Sophia, I can disregard all of that. But there's one thing I will never compromise on. It's about dignity. In my past life, I gave up my dignity for you, and it only earned me death. This life, I'd rather have nothing than lose my dignity again. Sophia looked at me, a flicker of alarm crossing her eyes. She found that her threats had no effect on me. Ethan, you're crazy. No reputation, no company, you're nothing. I know, I nodded, but at least I'm still myself, not a puppet manipulated by you. The reporters watching our exchange began to sense that things weren't so simple. At that moment, Alexander appeared. He walked over to Sophia and put his arm around her shoulders. That's enough, Sophia. He looked at me, his eyes full of complicated emotions. Ethan, I admit it, the child is mine. The hall erupted in a commotion. Sophia looked at Alexander in shock. What are you talking about? Alexander gave a bitter smile. Sophia, we're all tired. This farce needs to end. He turned to the reporters. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to clarify some facts. The child in Sophia's belly is indeed mine. We got together after Ethan and Sophia broke up. But because of my cowardice, I didn't dare to take responsibility, so Sophia did this. Sophia shoved Alexander away in anger. What are you talking about? The child obviously is. Alexander interrupted her. Sophia, don't say any more. I will not let my child be without a father. From today on, I will take on the responsibilities that I should. The reporters began to gossip again. The truth of the matter was becoming increasingly muddled. I watched the scene with mixed feelings. Why did Alexander do this? Was it a pang of conscience? Or did he have ulterior motives? Either way, this is good for me. At the very least, it proves my innocence. Sophia looked at Alexander, her eyes full of anger and despair. Her carefully planned scheme was ruined by a single sentence from Alexander. Alexander, you will regret this, she said through gritted teeth. Alexander shook his head. Sophia, I already regret it. I regret not stepping forward sooner. I regret letting you bear all of this alone. From now on, I will take good care of you and the child. After saying that, he took Sophia and left. Sophia glanced back at me, the hatred in her eyes chilling to the bone. I knew this matter was far from over. Sophia wouldn't give up easily. Alexander's admission caused public opinion to reverse again. Now everyone knew the truth. The child was Alexander's, and Sophia had framed me to get revenge. The internet was filled with criticism of Sophia. This woman is so vicious. She actually framed her ex-boyfriend. Alexander isn't a good person either, making his girlfriend bear all of this alone. Ethan is the real victim, being tormented terribly by that couple. My reputation has been cleared, and the company's stock price has also begun to recover. But I knew this was only a temporary calm. Sophia would not give up that easily. Sure enough, a week later, I received some bad news. Someone had reported me to the tax authorities for tax evasion, and the report was very detailed. It even included specific amounts and dates. This was definitely done by someone on the inside. I immediately summoned the finance team and had them carefully audit all the accounts. The results showed that there were indeed some problematic transactions. Although it wasn't a serious crime, it was enough to cause me trouble for a while. What made it worse was that the informant information was very precise. That meant there was a mole close to me. I began investigating inside the company and soon zeroed in on a target. Chief Financial Officer John Smith, an old employee who has worked with me for 3 years. I pulled up his recent call logs and found he had frequent contact with an unknown number. Further investigation revealed that this number belonged to Sophia. It turned out Sophia had long ago planted a pawn beside me. I didn't alert anyone. Instead, I continued to investigate covertly. I soon discovered that John had not only leaked financial information, but also stolen other confidential documents, including correspondence between me and some government officials. If these things were made public, the consequences would be unimaginable. I realized the gravity of the situation and sprang into action. That evening, I led security in a raid on John's office. We found copies of a large number of confidential files on his computer. John was caught on the spot, and facing the irrefutable evidence, he could only confess. "Mr. Ethan, I'm sorry, I was forced into it." He knelt on the ground, crying bitterly. Sophia threatened me, saying if I didn't cooperate with her, she would reveal the evidence of my embezzlement. It turned out John had indeed embezzled company funds before, and Sophia had caught him in the act. Sophia used this to force him to act as an insider. What other materials did she want? I asked coldly. John trembled as he handed over a USB drive. "They're all in here." She said she was going to destroy you completely. "These documents are her weapons." I plugged in the USB drive and checked. My expression grew increasingly grim. The files Sophia had collected were far too detailed, including my associations with some shady characters, borderline illegal business dealings, and even some unsavory aspects of my private life. If these things were made public, they would be enough to ruin me completely. Sophia really wanted to destroy me once and for all. I immediately contacted a lawyer and filed a lawsuit against John. At the same time, the company's security measures were strengthened. But I knew the materials in Sophia's hands were the greatest threat. The next day, Sophia contacted me proactively. "Ethan, it seems you discovered my gift." Her voice was very casual, as if chatting about the weather. "Sophia, what do you want?" I didn't beat around the bush and asked directly. "Very simple. I want you to kneel down and apologize. At my father's grave, in front of everyone. Admit that you killed him." I sneered. "And if I refuse, then I'll make all this information public." Sophia's voice turned icy. "Ethan, how many more blows do you think you can endure with your reputation as it is now?" I was silent for a while. "Sophia, give me 3 days to think." "Fine, but only 3 days." After hanging up, I fell into deep thought. Sophia's move was indeed vicious. She knew what I cared about most, so she specifically attacked my weak spot. But I won't give in easily. I began to formulate a counterattack plan. If Sophia wants to play this game, then I'll play along to the end. I had people look into Sophia's recent whereabouts and found that she had been living in Alexander's apartment. And Alexander wasn't treating her well. He was often staying out overnight. Sophia must be very lonely at home. I decided to give her a surprise. That night, I went with a few people to the bottom of Alexander's apartment building. Sophia was on the balcony hanging clothes, looking very haggard. Pregnancy had changed her figure a lot, and with the recent stress, she looked significantly older. I took out my phone and dialed her number. "Sophia, come down for a moment. I have something for you." Sophia saw me on the balcony, and her expression changed instantly. "Ethan, what are you trying to do? Don't be nervous. I just want to talk to you." Sophia hesitated for a moment, then came down. She was wearing loose pajamas, her belly already quite obvious. "Ethan, have you thought it over?" She stood in front of me, struggling to stay calm. I took a box out from behind me. "This is a gift for you." Sophia took the box in puzzlement. When she opened it, her face went pale in an instant. Inside the box were some photographs. They were all pictures of Alexander with other women. The timestamps showed they were taken just in the past few days. "Sophia, it seems your boyfriend isn't faithful." I sneered. "Flirting around while she's pregnant. What a fine man." Sophia trembled as she held the photo, tears welling in her eyes. "What do you want to say?" "I want to ask, is it worth ruining yourself for a man like that?" I took a step closer. "Sophia, Alexander doesn't love you at all. He just wants a child, that's all. When the child is born, he'll abandon you." Sophia bit her lip, tears streaming uncontrollably. "Even so, it's better than being with you. At least he won't take revenge on me." I shook my head. "Sophia, you're too naive. Alexander is much more terrifying than I am. He's being nice to you now only because he needs you. When he no longer needs you, your fate will be worse than it is now." Sophia looked at me, her eyes full of despair. "What do you want me to do?" "I can give you a choice." I looked at her seriously. "Give up those files, and I can guarantee your safety and the child's. I can even give you some money to leave this city and start over." Sophia was stunned. She hadn't expected me to make such an offer. "Why?" "Because I'm tired." I sighed. "Sophia, there's no point in us continuing to fight like this. It will only make both of us suffer. Why don't we stop here and each find our own peace?" Sophia looked at me, a flicker of hesitation in her eyes, but it quickly turned into resolve. "No, I won't give up. Ethan, you destroyed my family and killed my father. I will avenge this grudge no matter what." Seeing her attitude, I stopped trying to persuade her. "If that's the case, then continue." I turned and prepared to leave. "Sophia, remember today's choice. You will regret it." The 3-day deadline was up. Sophia didn't wait for my reply and directly made those documents public. Multiple major media outlets simultaneously received anonymous tips containing precisely those dirt on me. The internet immediately exploded. Ethan bribed officials, amounts reaching tens of millions of dollars. The degenerate life of a trust fund kid exposed, keeping multiple women. The rising star of the business world turned out to be a complete and utter bastard. These news items quickly trended, and I once again became the public enemy. The company's stock plummeted, and partners rushed to terminate their collaborations. Some investors even demanded to withdraw their shares. I sat in my office, watching this avalanche of negative news, yet I felt unusually calm. Sophia thought this would defeat me, but she was wrong. I had long prepared for the worst. Although this material did a lot of damage to my reputation, it isn't enough to ruin me completely. I haven't unleashed my real trump card yet. I picked up the phone and dialed a number. "It's me. You may begin." An hour later, another explosive news story appeared online. Sophia accused of fabricating evidence and framing her ex-boyfriend. Internal recording exposed. Sophia personally admits she wanted to destroy Ethan. This news came with an attached recording. It was the conversation in which Sophia and John plotted to frame me. "John, you must help me get dirt on Ethan. I want to ruin him and make him know what happens to those who offend me. I want him to kneel before me and beg for mercy, just like he did before he died in my past life." The last sentence left everyone stunned. Past life? What does that mean? But in any case, the fact that Sophia retaliated maliciously had already been established. The online sentiment shifted again. So it was malicious revenge all along. Sophia is terrifying. This woman is psychologically twisted. She'll stop at nothing to exact revenge. Ethan may be at fault, but he doesn't deserve to be treated like this. Sophia quickly realized she'd been trapped. She called me incessantly. "Ethan, you betrayed me." Her voice was hysterical. "You secretly recorded our conversation." I answered calmly. "Sophia, this is to use his own methods against him. You like recording, right? I've learned how to do it too." Sophia started crying on the phone. "Ethan, you're so cruel. Now everyone is insulting me. I don't even dare to go outside." I had no sympathy for her. "Sophia, this is the path you chose. If you've chosen to be my enemy, you must bear the consequences." After hanging up, I continued handling the aftermath. Although my reputation was damaged, compared to Sophia's malicious retaliation, I actually gained some sympathy. At least it proved I had been framed. Over the next few days, the situation continued to escalate. Sophia was cyberbullied to the point of near mental collapse. Alexander was also implicated, and the company's situation went from bad to worse. They began blaming each other, and their relationship deteriorated rapidly. I saw Sophia's haggard appearance in the news and felt completely unmoved. This is the retribution she deserves. In my past life, she made me suffer for so long. Now it's her turn to experience that feeling. A week later, I received an unexpected piece of news. Sophia had a miscarriage. The child was gone. Hearing this news, my feelings were somewhat complicated. Although I hate Sophia, I harbored no ill will toward that innocent child. In my past life, I loved him like my own son, even though he ultimately betrayed me. But now that things have come to this, I don't want to investigate what caused the miscarriage. Sophia's call came through quickly. "Ethan, are you satisfied?" Her voice was weak, but still full of hatred. "My child is gone. Everything of mine is destroyed. You finally got your revenge." I was silent for a while. "Sophia, I'm very sorry about the child, but this wasn't my doing." Sophia gave a wry smile. "It wasn't you who caused it. If it wasn't your revenge, how would I have endured such immense pressure? If it wasn't your trap, how would I have been vilified across the entire internet? Ethan, you were the one who killed my child." I didn't argue back. In a way, she was right. If I hadn't taken revenge on her, maybe the child wouldn't have been harmed. But I don't regret it. She killed me in my past life. It's only right that she endures some suffering in this one. "Sophia, the game is over," I said at last. "We're finished with each other." Sophia was silent on the phone for a long time. At last, she said something that made my heart drop. "Ethan, the game is indeed coming to an end, but not in the way you think." After she finished speaking, she hung up the phone. I felt a twinge of unease and immediately sent someone to check on Sophia. But it was already too late. The next day, I received the news that Sophia had killed herself. She had jumped from the balcony of Alexander's apartment, dead at the scene. A suicide note was left at the scene, detailing my persecution of her. She painted herself as an innocent victim and described me as a cold-blooded monster. The last line of the note was, "Ethan, I'll be waiting for you in hell." Seeing these words, my heart raced. Sophia is dead. I finally got my revenge. But why do I feel no pleasure? Instead, I feel an indescribable emptiness and fear. Maybe because, having lost my enemy, I also lost my reason to live. All that remained was endless loneliness. 3 months later, on the anniversary of Sophia's death, I came to her grave. The tombstone bore only a few simple words: "Grave of Sophia." There aren't even dates of birth and death. Alexander didn't put up a proper tombstone for her. I set down a bouquet of white flowers, then stood there quietly. "Sophia, you win." I spoke to the tombstone. "You succeeded in turning me into a demon, into someone who even despises himself." The wind swept through the cemetery, bringing waves of chill.